All right, everyone. The Supreme Court finally weighed in on the Texas redistricting plan. Of course, Texas and California and several other states have been shifting around their congressional districts, and in some cases, it is obviously partisan. Now, in the case in California, it was reckoned simply to be politically partisan. It's like, we're going to rob some seats from the Republicans. In Texas, I noticed the double standard here, and this is why I support the Supreme Court's decision. I think they made the right choice on this one. Link in the description, of course, archived. I agree with the decision because the legacy media was labeling it race-based. Now, I would point out racial demographics overlap with partisan demographics fairly normally. So if you have a congressional district where most of the people there are, for example, of black heritage, it is more likely to go to a Democrat simply because of voting demographics. If you have a district in which people wear suspenders and have trucks with coal rollers on them and wear MAGA hats, that's probably going to go to the Republicans. Interesting. There's a racial overtone to this, but it is not due to race or ethnicity itself that the demographics exist. Effectively, what you've got is a double standard here, a tale of two cities moment within politics, so to speak. In California, everyone says, well, it's just political. It's just to deprive the GOP of congressional seats. But in Texas, it was specifically to keep Hispanic voters down. Even though Hispanics have been lurching on towards the GOP fairly steadily, to the point where that's no longer really a concern. Mostly, it's more urban versus rural demographics. That's what we're seeing here. And that has an effect on partisanship. If you have an urban area, it's going to tend to lean towards the left generally. If you have a rural or small town area, it's going to tend to lean red, generally speaking. The fact that it overlaps with race is coincidental almost. There are racial demographics, for example, that have aggregated. Of course, I prefer individualism, but as an aggregate, there are voting trends that correlate directly with, the race or with gender and things like that. This does not mean that a redistricting is necessarily discriminatory in nature, and this is indeed what was found by the Supreme Court. I would point out that if you want to see gerrymandering, if you want to see the ultimate gerrymander, look at the Chicago area, which is run entirely by liberals. If you look at the state of Illinois, you'll see the greatest example. Look at the Chicago area's congressional districts, of which there are many because it's a huge city. You can't possibly tell me that that map is fair. It makes absolutely no sense. You'll have a congressional district that's like 3 blocks wide and just sort of meanders up around a river or something like that. It literally makes no sense. The Texas and California maps, at the very least, are more plausible. So I think it would have been hysterical if the Supreme Court had ruled against Texas, because it would effectively, since it's ignoring, what happens in California, it would effectively be, ignoring gerrymandering entirely. That is indeed almost what happened. And there were dissenters. So I think there were 3 dissenting justices in this case, the 3 hyper-liberals on the Supreme Court. Roberts inexplicably actually sided with the right side on this one, even though he's a liberal too. Appointed by Bush. Bush is not exactly the most conservative figure in U.S. politics. We've seen this a number of times, by the way. I never knew that conservatism meant killing 500,000 people and wrecking the economy. If that's what the movement stands for, then this, again, another reason why I'm not a conservative. The Supreme Court made the right decision. It is self-evident that this is not racially based. It's partisan. That's the whole problem with gerrymandering and redistricting. It is partisan. It doesn't mean, hey, I'm trying to deprive black people of their vote. It means I'm trying to deprive a group of people that has a certain political proclivity of, representation. Because I don't like them, because I'm part of the other party. This is why partisan politics, by the way, is such a cancer in our society. The Founding Fathers warned repeatedly, don't form political parties, don't have them, And they were right. Unfortunately, latter generations were wrong. So when I saw the Supreme Court decision, I thought it was a good idea because it's right. It's quite clearly constitutional. States generally handle their own districting. The House of Representatives being thus formed, the states generally handle that. If we can deal with Chicago-style gangland gerrymandering, the map in Texas really is fairly innocuous by comparison. I've looked at it myself. It's not even really gerrymandering when you think about it. Well, a little bit. It's for partisan purposes. This is absolutely an attempt by the GOP to pick up more congressional seats. Absolutely. Just like in California, the same was done. Just like in Illinois, the same has been the case for a very long time. We've seen it before, and we're not going to stop seeing it. And really, there's no solution to the problem because there's really no fair methodology by which to create the congressional districts anyway. It really, I mean, you could probably use AI to make it geographically based or something like that, but then you'd have all these weird wonky districts in urban areas, so the end result would be pretty much similar. So I don't know that there's really a solution to this particular problem. I mean, who decides what is fair with regards to redistricting? There's no potential way really to do it in an unbiased manner because the people that are making the rules, whether it's Congress, president slash governor, state level function, it doesn't really matter because there's nobody that's not going to be politically biased within the position to actually make those decisions. So it's pretty much a lost cause issue, in my opinion. Unless you were to apply again, if you had, well, you don't have it yet, an unbiased AI, like let's say Grok can draw the districts. Just say, please redraw the congressional districts so that they're more even or something like that. This could actually probably be the only working solution. Then what you have is you have districts that are balanced, so it's more of a 50-50 sum deal. You'd have to base that on historical trends. It would have to be re-updated on a regular basis, which, I mean, they do it with congressional districts anyway. But that's the only way that I can see to actually kind of solve the problem. And again, it's more like a band-aid on a gaping wound sort of solution anyway, because it's not going to take care of the whole problem. It will just ameliorate parts of it. In this particular case, though, it would have been bizarre if SCOTUS had sided against the state of Texas, since they don't seem to have a problem with California fundamentally doing the same thing in order to shut out a bunch of Republicans in their congressional districts. Um, Something does need to be done. It's just not 100% clear what can be done. It's one of those problems that doesn't have a solution. It's like an incurable disease. Oh, we'll treat it symptomatically. We can ease your suffering, but the disease is still there. That's basically what we're seeing. That's about all. Peace out.